I'm Dean Newland, and welcome to Leadovation. Reimagine, facilitate, flourish. This podcast is dedicated to the art and science of innovative leadership. Through insightful interviews with industry experts, I bring you cutting-edge strategies and experiences of innovative leadership, helping you think differently, act strategically, and achieve remarkable results. Join me as I provide insights and tools that empower you to make smarter decisions, forge meaningful relationships. Welcome to Leadovation. Most sales are won or lost before the presentation even begins. That's the philosophy behind today's conversation. And my guest is Glenn Poulos, an entrepreneur, author, and sales expert whose book, Never Sit in the Lobby, is filled with practical lessons on building trust before you even make your pitch. We explore why preparation beats persuasion, how relationships still outperform technology, and what every leader can learn from the mindsets of great salespeople. Hey, Glenn, great to have you on the show.
Hey, Dean. Oh, sorry.
Tell me, just lead me in here, buddy.
Yeah.
What's your story? Give us a little bit of window dressing or table setting or whatever the metaphor may be. Tell us about yourself. What do you do?
Okay, so I'm in business. Run a business. It's my third business. And the first two, I quit my first job back in the 90s. I started a company and I sold it 15 years later. There were some issues that had occurred, which are make for an interesting story. But I got a chance to start another company. Ran it for 15 years, sold it to private equity in 2022. Worked for them for 3 years. I'm now finished my therapy sessions for that, and I decided that I could now move on and start a new job. And now instead of starting a company and taking 15 years, because I'm 64, I figured I would buy a business and see what I could do to grow it. And so I bought a business, and I didn't want to compete. I didn't want to cut my neighbor's grass, if you know what I'm saying. And so I bought a business that was similar to what I do, but in a different market completely.
What is it you do, though? What is the business?
We sell high tech measuring instruments, precision measuring instruments for engineering applications. So equipment that measures things. And so test and measurement equipment, basically. And so I've been selling that since 1985. Couple of my own companies. We also sold system level products, but in this business, I only sell test equipment, but not to the telecom where I was for the first amount of time. Now I'm in the power industry and I sell to the substation, high voltage, those giant transformers you see when you drive by a power plant. We call on those guys that keep those things up and running, that are building new power plants. And we sell them equipment to do their job. And I import the equipment from around the world. That's our function, is to find this equipment from other countries, unique products that don't have a sales force in the US, and we become their sales force in the US. We get an exclusive typically. And so any business in the US comes through our company as a wholesale distributor, and it's wholesale electronic test and measurement distribution is what we do.
So I keep hearing the word sales. And again, I know this because I read up on you a little bit. So
yeah,
let's talk about selling for a second, because whether we are in a position that has the name sales in it or not, I suppose in some ways we're always selling. My question is, what do most salespeople get wrong? Like, what's a belief that you keep seeing showing up? It's like, you guys, you just don't get it. It should be this way. What is it that they're missing? These rookies out there.
Well, anyone that's read the title of my book would know that the number one thing is you never sit in the lobby, right?
All right, so you explain that. I love the title
of the book.
It's a good title.
Don't sit in the lobby.
So work through the metaphor of what that really means. Don't sit in the lobby.
So the funny thing is that although I do love metaphors, that's not a metaphor. That is a golden rule. And so the golden rule is when you get to the lobby and you announce yourself, do not sit down. Don't pull out your phone. Don't look at the plaques on the wall. Don't what do you say? Don't be on the phone talking to your wife about the grocery list, because what ends up happening more often than not is the customer walks in and you're kind of intellectually distracted,
Mm.
and the customer feels kind of slighted, right? It's like, oh wait, I got to interrupt the sales guy from his call with his wife about picking up the bread, and so I'm always about making sure that whatever you're doing is a good look,
Hmm.
or don't be a pain in the butt, right? Like, don't be a pain, and always be a pleasure to do business with. And so everything that I can remove from the situation that would cause me to be, undesirable, and, the customer want to get away from me or whatever, I don't do those things. And so I realized that being there on time, showing up, being ready when they walk through the door, you shake their hand. And of course, the next golden rule is always have something in your hand and something in your mind. And
What do you mean in your
so
hand? What would be in your hand?
I literally mean, so that's, again,
Like a cup
it's
of
not
coffee, like a New York
well.
Times, or
So there's rules about the coffee. So you can show
okay.
up. So you can show up with donuts, but can't come after 10:30. The calls after 10:30, don't bring donuts,
Oh, you
because
mean
you ruin
bringing
his
food for
lunch.
your client or your would-be client?
Well, I would either bring, it might be a data sheet, it might be a quote, it might be coffee mugs we're giving
Mm.
away, pens, pencils, whatever, like swag, right?
Okay.
If you're doing some kind of a sales call or whatever, a lot of our guys will bring donuts, but not after 10:30, because you're going to wreck the
Mm.
guy's lunch. Then he's going to be mad at you, right? And so it's just not appropriate to bring donuts after 10:30, right? People will eat them, but they shouldn't be eating them, right? Um, and so you always have something in your hand to give them, right? And a
Okay.
lot of times it's your excuse for getting to the lobby. You called the guy, it took you a while, you got him on the phone, you said,
Ah.
"Hey, I got a new discombobulator. I'd love to get 5 minutes with you to talk about it," or whatever. He's like, "Oh, send me the data sheet." And you're like, "Oh, no problem." He goes, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna be at your location next Thursday. Can I drop it off?" "Oh, I'm super busy."
Mm. Mm.
"Oh, okay, that's no problem. I'll
Mm.
just drop it in the lobby for you." And so then the next week, now I have a confirmed appointment at that location, right? So one thing I'm going to
Right.
do is look at every business within 5 miles of that guy, and I'm going to book appointments for that day, right? And so when it gets time for, before 10:30, maybe I have donuts on the data sheet with me. I mean, I probably wouldn't have donuts because it's brand new, right? I bring donuts for people I
It'd
know,
be
but
stale.
yeah. So anyways, I have the data sheet. I show up to the lobby, and then the dragon lady's at the front desk, guarding the people, right? And she's like, do you have
Do you
an
have an
appointment?
appointment?
And I'm
Yeah.
like, he's expecting me. And she goes, "Oh, really?" I go, "Yeah, he asked me to bring him this literature." And of course, when she announced you to him, he forgot a week ago that he told you he was too busy. And that day he's not too busy. And so he
You're
comes
good.
down. And
You're
I am
good.
not sitting at that time. Remember, I'm not sitting down. I'm not
No, you're
distracted.
standing up.
Something
I
in my
love it.
hand, something in my mind. And so then I
So
say, "Here's the data sheet. Can I get your quick opinion on the size, shape, color, flavor?" Hang on one
yeah.
second, and then I'll let you go because it's important. And so, can I get, the guy will say, "Whatever, it's big, it's small, it's fast, it's deep, it's whatever, it looks expensive, okay, fine." Then you say, "Look, if you're buying a discombobulator, I'm sure you're setting up a new warehouse, a new product line, a new assembly line, a new such and such. Is there any way I can get a mini tour of where you're going to set it up?" And everyone's like,
Ah,
"Why is it a
there's your
mini
next
tour?"
meeting.
Well, no, actually, you try to get the mini tour on the spot, and you get something else for the next meeting.
Oh, I
And you
see. I
want to
see.
get behind the curtain and see the Wizard of Oz, right? Because
Yes.
in the lobby, everything is a facade, right?
Right.
So, and everyone's like, "Why do you say mini tour?" And I'm like, "Because a tour takes all day. And I don't know about you, but I hate going on tours, right? And they take all day. They're boring. In and off the bus, on the bus, off the bus, on the bus, right? So it gives a bad impression. The guy's a mini tour. It kind of throws off his thinking. And I say, "Look, I just want to get a quick look where you're going to set it up. 5 minutes, I'm in, I'm out." And the guy, and then if he says another push, if I can tell he's almost there, but he's a little bit reluctant or whatever, I'll say, "Look, I promise I won't sell any encyclopedias while I'm in the building," right? And he'll usually laugh. He goes, "Okay, fine, let's have a quick look." And so you get behind the door, you see the Wizard of Oz, then you start seeing the magic, right? You start seeing whose competitors have dropped off coffee mugs, pens,
Mm.
mouse pads, other things. You're also going to see whose discombobulators they're using now because you didn't know, right? And And you're like, oh my God, they're also buying flux capacitors. I didn't know they needed those things. And so you're building a whole framework, right? And so in another rule which precedes it comes into play immediately, which is, if you're early, you can't sit in the lobby. You don't want to stand there for 10 minutes. Your feet are going to get sore. So what you do is you wait in your car and you practice the other rule called never forget a face. And
Mm,
that's where you bring up your phone and you go to the customer in your in your call system, like Salesforce or whatever you're using,
yeah.
and you look at everyone you've ever met there, everyone, and you remember their face. And if you don't remember their face, if it isn't instantly at the front of your brain, you go to LinkedIn, you look at their picture, and you go, oh my God, yeah, Sally, that's I remember her now. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Jack, yeah, that's the bald guy, right? And so you bring it all from the back of your mind to the front of your mind. Because when the guy's a little bit of trepidatious, he wasn't sure what you're going to do on the mini tour, whatever. He's walking you through, and you guess who you bump into? Sally walks by. Sally, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. She's like, oh, who's that again, right? And then, and she, later she goes, oh my God, that's Glenn. She goes, that sales guy. She goes, I love dealing with him. He's a great guy. I love doing business with him, right? He
Uh,
always remembers my name. Like that's what she remembers in her brain,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
However, the people that don't do my rule, right? Jack walks by and Jack says, Glenn, hey man, good to see you. And I'm like, hey.
And you don't remember his name.
And then he's gone. Moment's gone. Guy hates you. You've wrecked his day. You didn't remember his name, right? You can never get that moment back, right? Glenn's the guy who never remembers my name, just takes our money, forgets about you. Not a pleasure to do business with. So, anyways, I'll stop blathering on. But
Well, let me add. This is great. I want to ask you two questions. One
yeah,
is, I'm going to tell you a quick story. We do a lot of work, not only in healthcare, but that's one of our biggest verticals. One of the healthcare companies we were working with, the COO, was saying about the president of the foundation, I don't know how you do what you do. In fact, I could probably never do what you do. What she's referring to is the foundation head is a master salesman. He has no problem doing what you just said and asking people for money. She says, I don't know how you do what you do. And there was a bit of a stigma to it. But on top of it, what it said was to me, and it's one that we hear all the time, not everybody's a salesperson. You have a style, you're a fast talker, you're good with being able to come up with analogies, you tell stories really well. It works for sales. What about a person whose style is much more introvert and maybe even could never even imagine themselves getting out of the car, let alone going into a lobby? Can they be trained to be salespeople? Or is this only for those more gregarious, outgoing people?
I think that they can. And I mean, oftentimes those are the, maybe highly technical people.
Mm,
And, it really depends on the company that they're working for, because in a lot of companies, there's a very important person like that that's very technical, who's not the tip of the spear, right? Maybe there's an
all right.
account manager who's at the like thimble deep with everyone, right? But he's on
Yep.
every deal, and he cuts across the swath. He knows from the CEO all the way down to the guy in the warehouse, right? He knows everybody, right? But there's 9 different departments, and you guys have 9 different products you're selling them, and so that guy might be, very much a salesperson when it comes to selling those products, and he has to be salesy to a certain degree, but he's not literally tip of the spear. Because I mean, he probably wouldn't choose to have a territory and be banging on doors and making 3 or 4 calls a day to industrial and customers and whatever. But if he wanted to, he could, just by, you know, uh, if you're passionate about your product, everything else will fall into place, right? And so I feel, because if you can
Sure.
listen, if you can put yourself in the customer's shoes, if you can practice, the trinity of kindness, which I call is sympathy, empathy, and compassion for your
Mm.
customer, you can figure out what they need, when they need it, and why they need it, and you can present yourself as the solution for all those things and nothing else at the right time. And you don't have to be flashy. I'm only talking fast because we have a limited amount of time. I mean,
Yes.
normally I'm asking people like, what's the problem? What's bugging you? What are you guys having challenges with?
Sure.
What measurement
Sure.
problems you have? Right. And then I just stop talking as much
Do
as
you
possible. Like, I'm paid to not talk. Right.
certainly I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
So, people who are, let's say, a little bit more skilled at sales, do you find that they're also better than others at advocating for themselves? For example, not too long ago, I was talking to another person. They are going to go to their boss and ask for a raise. That's a difficult conversation to have. Are sales minded individuals better at that than those that aren't? And if so, why?
I think that sometimes they can be, but not always, right? And I mean, they're more comfortable advocating for themselves because they do it every day, trying to
Right.
sell customers and products, and they're
Yes.
used to asking for
They're,
the meeting and asking for the order and asking and
yes.
communicating value, right? But
Right.
salespeople don't advocate. You know, the they advocate through results more normally, right? And
Mm.
the challenge for everyone else is they often assume good work will simply be noticed, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, that's not the case, right? And so you have to. It's a difficult question to answer. I mean, my mind's kind of going in a bunch of different directions with that one, but the problem that is that the example you gave me hit a sore spot, right? In the sense that you said like asking for a raise or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Right. It's a
And I
sales
don't ever
conversation in a
advocate that
way.
people do well, I don't yes, but I don't advocate that people ever do that. I consider that to be the kiss of death. And,
All right, so I'll have to take the bait. I'll take the bone. Why do you think so? When, like, for example, let's say here's a scenario. Tell me why you think this may not be a good idea. A
okay.
person has been proving themselves. They are quite good. They have the track record to back it up. The market says that they should be paid more. The company just has been too busy to even think about it because, those who we pay most attention to are those who are struggling, those who are killing it and doing really well. We sometimes just forget about it. We continue just to rely on them. Only, maybe a few years later, we haven't actually increased their pay to make them commensurate to what they're worth. Do you still feel like it's not a good idea to go to boss and say, "Hey, can we talk about my salary structure here for this next year?"
Yeah, I still feel that it's a bad
All right, so
idea.
tell me. I'm curious
Okay,
because I actually think you should, but let's go into this. Why
yeah.
not?
So first things first, that all of my answers are coming from experience of having lived it, not
Yeah,
some kind of a university degree on the matter, right? Like it's not
understood.
I'm not giving you this is a real world example, right?
Right.
So in 99.999, virtually 100% of the time, I can't even I could probably think of one, but no, every time that's ever happened to me in 40 years of running a business, the person's been gone within 6 months.
When they have asked for a
When
title
they've
increase, a
advocated
pay.
that they're not paid correctly, when they're
Well,
because
okay,
you made it specific. You said they're advocating they weren't being properly paid and they need to
correct.
be brought to a level
Yes,
versus everyone's getting 3.7% this year, right? Like like
cost of living bump. Yeah, right,
cost of living or whatever, right? I
right,
mean, you're saying like the guy says I'm making 72, I should be making 84,
right.
K a year or whatever. I think I should, I think you've passed me over and I'm misaligned. I think the new guys are coming in at 80 and I'm only getting 72. And you're just like sitting in the comfort, lying under the blanket of the very freedom that I provide and then, questioning the manner in which I provide it.
Wait a minute.
Right.
What
And
you I know the movie you're quoting.
a few good
Thank you
men.
very much. Can I play Tom Cruise now?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so
You
go
can't
ahead.
handle the truth.
You can't
Right?
handle the truth. You aren't deserving of a praise.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
why do you
So
think? So I personally have had a situation, at least one, where I was coaching a particular person, and she said, "I just don't, and the same situation we're talking about."
yeah.
And we found a way to have the conversation. We worked it out. We actually role played it, and it worked to her advantage. And she's still there 10 years later.
That's
So,
fine. Yeah,
I mean,
that could happen. But what I would coach her to do is that, like, for
is
the one, I have a higher level like at a more generic level for everyone that's listening, and this isn't an issue, but I have sort of a universal rule which relates to this, which is that look at what you're doing and where you're doing it, right? Like you're designing widgets, making widgets, programming them, selling them, financing, paying, doing the bills, whatever it is, and look at where you're doing it, who you're doing it for, and if you're not doing it for the number one or the number two in the business, quit and get a better job. because they're always going to be able to pay you better, and you're going to do better because they'll do better.
Yeah, well, unless of course you're working up from the bottom, right?
Well, the number 3s and number 4s spend all their time explaining who they are and what they do and why they're valuable, and they're not booking orders. And 80% of the business goes to the top 1 or 2, and really 80% of it, most of the and of that 80% of that goes to the number 1, right? And so mathematically, the people in the working for number 3, number 4, whatever, they're battling it out for 4% of the business when you do the math. Right. And so because of the 80% of the 20% that's left over, the number 1 guy gets most of that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you only have one life to live. So you should always work for the best possible company. Right. If you're working for Facebook and Meta's that's Meta, that's the same. If you're working for Meta or Facebook and whatever, Salesforce is better, quit Facebook and go to work for Salesforce.
Got it.
So just at a basic level, because they're better, they'll do better. You'll get more incentives. You'll go on more trips. Everything will be better, and you won't spend all your time explaining why you're good. So that's sort of the generic for everyone, right? Don't be selling the underdog. There's no pride in it. It doesn't matter if you're bigger, faster, wider, deeper, and 20% cheaper. You spend all your time justifying who you are, and then people in the end, the boss says, "Yeah, but we always buy IBM."
Mm-hmm.
My dad told me you can't get fired for buying IBM, right? Or HP or whatever, Dell computers, whatever it is, right? And so, but now to that other person that like you coached to get the raise or whatever, she was getting 72 and she wanted 84, and you gave her a nice coaching and she got it.
Yeah.
So like most people, because again, one of my golden rules, is the trinity of kindness, right? Empathy, sympathy, and compassion. Right. And so what ends up happening is she builds up a resentment towards you because you didn't give it to her without her having to ask for it. There's nothing worse than a wife that has to ask you to take her out to dinner and feel important. Right.
Well, and I get what you're saying, but I think that one of my
there's more
principles...
to it. There's more to it.
Go ahead. Finish your thought and I will add mine.
Okay.
Sorry.
So what I would tell her to do, is let's say she's making 72. She's the senior marketing and coordinator or whatever for a Fortune 500 company or something. She's making the 72K. She feels she wants 84. What I would do is I would get a headhunter, right? I would go and I would fill out all the forms, do all the tests, whatever, and say, look, I'm the best thing since sliced bread in marketing communications, and I need you to go get me a job at Facebook. And then when you get the job at Facebook says, well, my God, that girl, she's amazing. And then they go, well, what's it going to cost to get her? Well, and so she won't say I'm making 72. She'll say, well, I'm making 89 now. So you're going to have to beat that. And they're like, okay, well, that's not too bad. Let's bring her in at 96. Right? She comes in at 96. She works there for a year. She realizes she hates her boss. Right? Her old boss realizes that he screwed up big time, almost lost his job for losing Sally. Right? They come back to her and she says, well, I'm making 110. So if you're going to have to sweeten it up to get me back. Okay, here's $1.25 for you, Sally. Come on back, and we're giving you a promotion, and you get a couple of stock options too.
Glenn, I know that sounds really great, but that's a lot of work, a lot of time that could be saved by a well-constructed conversation.
Well, I found that either myself or them or both of us end up disliking each other after the conversations, and the rewards for their employer, and me as the employer, I don't do it. When people come to me and say, I feel that I'm at 72, I deserve 84. I'm like, okay, well, if you want to quit, go ahead and quit. Mm-hmm. I don't, under those conditions, there's no way I will capitulate under those terms, because next year it's going to be another 20 grand that they want. And it'll be going to be the constant thing, and they'll never be happy.
I think we might just be able to agree to disagree on this one, but because I see it, I have people in my mind who are so kind and careful about these kind of conversations that they put them off for years sometimes. And if they do ask it, it's like the one time that they are in their entire life they've ever asked for. They
So-
don't keep coming back to the well.
I have to like, but okay. So you got to understand from 91 until
Yeah.
this day, I've been owning companies with hiring people and them quitting on me because they don't make enough or want more,
Totally,
and blah
yeah.
blah blah, and all
Totally.
day long, I deal
Right.
with this. Okay.
Yep.
And so the thing is that you're presupposing that the owner is not properly, like treating them from a financial perspective. Like they're saying, you know what, Sally's worth 84, but I'm only gonna leave her at 72 because I hired her 10 years ago.
No, actually, I'm thinking
so-
that they have their eyes on other things. It's not out of malice; it's out of neglect because they're focused on this particular fire to put out. Sally's doing it so well, we just forgot about her.
Yeah.
That happens.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah.
so
Sorry.
I get it. We got a little different opinion. You come from a different perspective. I want to ask if I could pivot back to the name of the book and
Sure.
the point about, don't sit in the lobby, stand up, come in with something in your hand. What about in this day and age where so much of these businesses are scattered all over the place? Sometimes people do not have brick and mortar to come into.
Right. It's
We
virtual.
got a new client that we just built. We just got not built, but we just took on. They don't have an office. They got individuals working all over the place. So your sales force has to take place through Zoom or WebEx or Teams or what have you. So how do you do your wonderful analogy?
Something in your hand, something in your mind, and all that.
If you're
Yeah.
not able to see
you're
them
not-
because
okay.
the only way you can
So-
communicate is the way we're communicating, which is virtually.
Yeah. No one's ever asked me this before.
I'm sure they have. This must be the most popular question you ever get.
Yeah. It was like, oh yeah, everything's virtual now, Glenn. Like your book's out of date, right?
Yeah,
and so
right.
yeah. Now, so there's two quick things I just want to put in perspective. The way you said, like, we have a new customer and they don't even have an office. Right. And so they're all virtual. Right.
Correct.
So if they're all virtual and they're all and they all don't have an office, that means they don't have a place, right? There's no place. You just said that, which means that you're probably selling them software.
No.
What are you selling them?
Consulting services, strategic planning.
Okay, so sorry. Okay, fair enough.
Not widgets. It's a service.
Yeah.
It's a
right
B2B.
a service. Understood. Yes. Right. Okay.
We don't have any widgets.
I just
to
want to
provide.
make a point. I just want to make a point, though, that just because your people, the person you're speaking to, if you're selling equipment, capital equipment, or anything like that's going at the factory exists.
100%. Yes.
Okay.
And
so
we
let's
do have
just make
clients
sure
who have
you're
factories.
talking about.
Yes.
You're talking about the scenario where there's nowhere to install it and it has to be delivered. Well, of course, then you're right in that way. And you have to figure out how to adapt to these rules in a virtualized manner. But what I want to point out is that that's not where the real mistake occurs. The mistake occurs with the guy where the guy he's talking to is remote, but they've got 1,200 guys working in, Poughkeepsie, Maryland, right? And they got a factory there. And trust me, this guy's just the guy you're talking to. The person who's putting in the equipment that you're buying or selling, or the new, printer lines, or the new computer systems, or the new data center that's going on. There's somebody there that cares, and the people that get the order are the one that visited them, right? And so,
100%.
if there's
100%.
a place, you need to go there for the big deals. Okay?
I totally agree with that. And I would say that the same thing for relationship building.
Sure.
Don't just do it over the phone. Get together, go out, have
for
drinks,
the
go out, have
consultants,
coffee.
For the
Go have
SaaS
dinner.
salespeople and the consultants and the people like that, then they don't have one of those, so they have to do it virtually, right?
Right.
So then you have to go further down the food chain of the 57 tips in the book, right? Is on how you present your products, right? And you still have to learn what's important to the customer, because you, as a consultant, you could be a sales consultant or a financial consultant or an operational or an ISO, 27,000 consultant or whatever kind of consultant. There could be 4 or 5 key things that may be the key thing for them, right? And the mistake that most of the salespeople make is that they want to tell the guy that in the IT stack or in the HR department, they can solve all 5. But that's not the person's problem. And they don't get to the 5th one until the person on the other end of the Zoom call is actually reading their emails and and they're planning their trip. Right.
Right.
And so because they're not engaged, they're not listening, and all the tips I give you on active listening, building genuine rapport, and solving genuine problems, right? And so the thing is that you need to be determining, okay, so what is the number one problem we're trying to solve here? Like before you do your demo of what you consult on or whatever, and the guy's like, it's turnover. Our problem is there's too many people quitting. Okay. So then you don't want to go in and show them your recruiting module on how great you are at recruiting. Let me spend 3 hours showing you my recruiting module virtually, and you can sleep on Zoom. What you want to do is you want to show them, I have a technique called the punch, perfect, pitch, and close, right? Where when you're doing a presentation, you punch them, and then you give them a perfect pitch, and then you close them, right? And the whole idea behind it is that you've done all the work in advance over Zoom, because you said you can't visit them because they're all remote, to figure out what they need. So, and you create your presentation around solving only the problems that you're there for virtually, right? Like employee turnover. That's our example at the moment, right? So then what you do is you create, you literally, the very first thing you do is that before you start, like, just watch this short video, and you bring in it's got the perfect music, whatever it is, and it shows you consulting with this girl and explaining to her how she can have this conversation with her boss and get the 10K raise that she's so entitled to. And at the end of it, she got it and she's happy and she's been there 10 years later. You show them that video.
Is that the punch?
That's the punch. You've changed the person's state.
You
wow,
like,
holy
them.
Shit. You wow them with something. Yeah.
Yep.
You show them, that they could exist in the state that they want to be in when they've implemented your consulting.
Yes.
You visually or audibly or in some way demonstrably show them this is the state you're going to be in if you deploy our system. Then you present it using the Goldilocks principle, right? Good, better, best, small, medium, large, everything's in threes. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them what you tell them. Tell them what you told them. Yep. And then you produce it into 3 chunks, why you need it, what you do, blah, 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 whatever the 3 things are that you show them. Then you summarize it. And then at the end, they're like, how much does it cost? They close themselves when you've done it right. If they don't say, how much is it? When can I get it? Or how do I have it installed? Or what's the ramp up time or something like that? You failed. Because when you do the perfect presentation, all they care about is how much is it going to cost and when can I get it?
Right.
Until you have to kind of back up and you have to probably start over again. If you're trying to now let's force a trial on you and no credit card needed up front or whatever, like they're not sold. Right.
Right.
And
right.
Yeah. And so you can do it virtually, but again, a quick story. I have to tell it, which is if let's say that you're selling private jets, right? They're $50 million a pop, right? So which do you prefer? The guy's going to come to pick you up in a limousine, right? The flight attendant she's in the car, she picks you up at your office, right? She shuttles you down to the local executive airport. She takes you through all the express security and all that stuff. She walks you onto the plane. She introduces you to the pilot and the co-pilot, whatever's there, and it sits you down. She says, we're going to fly to New York. We're going to have lunch in New York. And, then we're going to fly you back to Miami or whatever, right? And it's like, wait a minute. Those guys told me I could do it all virtually. We're going to fly to New York. You're going to do it on Zoom. You're going to watch us fly to New York, and you're going to stay in your office. We're going to log you in over Zoom, and hopefully we don't lose you at 40,000 feet when we're flying to New York, the fastest you've ever gone. We're going to have a lovely lunch downtown New York. Then we're going to fly back, and you don't get to do any of it, and then you're going to cut me a check for $50 million. No, the guy who gets the jet sales, the one that picked him up and drove him to the airport and flew him back. And so the whole thing is that doesn't matter if it's 50 million or 5K. It's the same thing. Usually the person that can be there, that gets there, is the one that got the order. And you're wondering, why I did everything right.
Right.
And so it's very, very important, because it's all about building genuine rapport and being a pleasure. You want people to do what you do, and you need to show everything you do in the best possible light. And so that can best be done in front of them. And if you can't, then you have to do the best you can with what you're given, which is maybe Teams or Zoom or whatever.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. It's 100%. I mean, all of the companies that we worked with over the years, I mean, almost 95% of them have been because of a face-to-face and somehow getting to know
Yeah.
them. Yeah, once in a while
Yeah.
you might meet somebody online and you can have a conversation and it goes really well, but eventually you're gonna see each other, right?
Yes.
And you're gonna get
Yes.
back into that.
Yes.
It was one client we've been with for 15 years. There was probably like 1 year that we weren't working with them, but I went into the soon to be CEO's office once a quarter just to check in. How's it going? How's it
Yeah.
going? Keep the
Yeah.
relationship going, you know? And then when it was time for him to be CEO, we were there ready to go
Yeah.
to help him out.
That's how it's done.
That's great. So I haven't read your book. I'm certainly going to
That's
plan on
okay.
doing so, but
Yeah.
is there, do you make any corollaries with this process that you're talking about in terms of not necessarily in the more traditional sales environment, but like executive presence, like presentation skills? Because my mind is going like this would fit into a presentation process. This could fit into a person how they show up as a strong leader. I can see those parallels. Do you make any of those references, and if so, how in your book?
Yeah, not really. Yeah, I can quickly, those 57 tips, right? It's really
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
flip through it and you just pick the tips, right? And not really, like it's not really focused on that part of it, but
Okay.
the tips the tips can be used in every department and every aspect of your day-to-day life, right?
Mm.
Like this chapter on where to sit at lunch and what to order and how to behave at lunch, right? Like that's universal.
All right,
And
so let's
some
hear
people
that.
are like,
You and I'm gonna go out with you for lunch, and I've had many, many lunches before with clients or
yeah.
would-be clients. Um, I don't think anybody ever thinks about maybe a little bit how they should behave, how they should order, and all that. What's the tips on that?
So it's standard stuff. So, and a lot of times, if it's just you and me, there's a little bit more casuality to it. But normally, I'm talking about when there's like 6 people and you're worried about how you're going to fit in and all that,
Right.
right? But and s- and you're always going to be the first one there. You're going to scope the place out, right? If you're typically sitting at like a rectangular table, you want to have your back to the wall, looking out. You want to be dead center in the middle, so you can control the entire table, right? You want
Mhm.
to be sitting there waiting, right? And most importantly, you never want to order the most expensive thing on the menu. You never want to lead the path like, I'm paying, get whatever you want. You want to portray a modest, like pick the salmon,
Mhm.
right? And so we call it doing a Quigley, right? Don't do it. Don't do the Quigley, right? The Quigley is the one that comes in. He orders 2 of the best top shelf scotches. Then he orders a steak. No, you know what? Make it surf and turf. I'll have the surf and turf, right? And then I'll have the tableside Caesar for everyone. Everyone want tableside Caesar? Yeah, sounds good. And then of course he orders a most expensive dessert and an Irish coffee, right?
Yeah.
And oh man, most people just get so angry at that. And it just creates this like rapport destroying stuff, right? So, you know, um, but also certain things, just learn how to proper etiquette about where your knife and fork goes and, you
Mhm.
know, where you should leave your napkin and all that kind of stuff, right? But mostly it's about where you sit and what you order. You'll also want to be careful about drinking, so at my company, first of all, we have a 2-drink limit that you're not allowed to have more than 2 drinks throughout the whole night.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, I don't drink, so I don't drink anything. But I
Mhm.
mean, I would also, in a business environment, choose not to drink mainly, right? And the trick I learned in Japan, for instance, where everyone has to drink, right? And a Japanese guy taught me this was he said, you don't have to drink it, Glenn. He said, let them fill it up and then leave it full. As long as it's full, nobody will bother you. It's when you take a sip that
Yeah.
they fill it up again,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I learned that and I never forgot it because I used to work in Japan, right? And
Mm.
so I realized that they filled it up. I never touched it and they never bothered me ever throughout the
Mm.
meal. But if you take a sip, they're right there filling it up again.
Hey,
And
Glenn, on that
yeah.
point about you said you spent some time in Japan. For a while, I did some work in other countries as well. What's the biggest or most interesting? Maybe that's a better question. Most interesting difference culturally when it comes to selling client meetings, that we just sort of take for granted, that's part of our DNA here in the United States, but boy, it would never fly over in Japan or India or, China? What story is quite different than the way we do it?
Well, the first thing is that I wasn't selling, I was actually, buying, so I was in a flip side, right? I was there
Different
looking
side.
for a lot most of the time, I was looking for suppliers, but when I was in Japan specifically, I had the rights to their products in Canada, and I was
Mm,
over there a lot protecting my interests, and, so they were my supplier, and in a way, they were my boss and stuff like that, so there was this subservient basis, so I don't really have a lot of experience on making sales calls in Japan or whatever, but
mm,
the one thing I wanna share with people is that no matter what you think or how you prepare, culture shock is something that you experience, not with something that you understand,
mm,
right? It's impossible to understand intellectually what culture shock is.
mm.
It's like you go there, you have the culture shock, then you're like, "Oh my god, now I know what culture shock is." Right? And like they like what they eat for breakfast, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's like an abomination. And I'm like, "I can't eat this." Like I'm not having like some dried out fish with barnacles coming off it, you know,
I know.
for
Or
breakfast.
right, or
Like
the stomach of a cow or whatever. Yeah.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so it's very you so the thing is that, yeah, it's not my I'm not a leader in international sales or anything like that, but what I would say is that, it takes experience to learn about the cultures and that they are different and you're different, and no matter what you do, you're not gonna be them and they won't accept you, and so you need
Yeah.
to just cooperate in a respectful and manner, you need to understand what their customs and things are going in, right?
Mm.
And the and you need to adhere to those and respect those, right? And there's no off
Yes.
switch, there's no always be on, right? Always
Yes.
be on. Yeah.
I have 2
And
quick
I
s
know we've yeah, I know
no,
we
I
might be coming to the end, but there's a really good story about Japan,
no, go ahead,
and
please.
take a minute to tell you. So
Yeah.
I was partnered up with a US company. I was in Canada. We had this Japan relationship, and they brought in all the people, their heads of the companies that work with them around the world, 52 people, flew us every year. There was a world leaders conference, and we would go in, and it wasn't always in Japan, but the first year that I was involved with them, it was in Japan. And I was kind of had my deal through the US guy. So he was kind of like my boss kind of thing. Right. So we fly to Japan. He didn't know I was doing this, but so we show up there's 50 people and there's 100 Japanese guys, right? And they're in this giant room in the kind of Japanese decision circle, right? It's a
Mm,
giant circle. And you had to go up to the front, and everyone had the sort of 5 slides that they had to give, right? Whatever,
mm,
it doesn't matter what they were. You had 5 slides, they were all the same, didn't matter. But I was the 4th guy up, right? And so my boss per se, was sitting beside me, and he was not before me, he was after me, right? So and I was representing Canada. So I go up and they put my slides up and I got the microphone. I look out at these 150 people and I'm like, "Oh, ohayou gozaimasu. O genki desu ka? No, no, tenki desu ne." And everyone started looking around and I looked like this and I looked left and I looked right and I said, "Oh, do I need to switch back to English?"
huh.
And and so and so like the whole room like burst out in laughter, right? And so right? And so but and at the end, right? 2 things happen. At the end, the guy in the US, I don't know the NSFW on your show, so like I won't say what he said, but he was like, "You," or,
Yeah, yeah, that's
he was
okay.
so mad at me. He goes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wish I thought of doing that, right?"
Yeah, yeah.
And then all the Japanese guys are coming out and going, "Oh, yours was the best. Your presentation was the best." Right? And all I did was learn 3 or 4 Japanese phrases
Uh-huh,
and
and
yeah.
they respected that.
And then I said, "Oh, I'll switch back
Yeah,
to English for
yeah,
you." And
right,
none of them knew. 98% of them didn't know, figured I spoke Japanese,
right.
right?
It's interesting,
And I
I've
did
been
not.
in China a
Yeah.
few times in training and facilitating, and where English was their second language, and these were young
Mhm.
people, so their English wasn't perfect, by any stretch of the imagination. I was
Yeah.
told and coached, "Slow down and
Yeah.
be 8th
Speak
grade
slowly,
8th grade,
easy words,
vocabulary,
short
nothing
sentences.
yeah,
Yeah.
nothing too big." And met
Yeah.
yet another time I was in, UK somewhere, I forget, maybe some place in England, and, felt much more comfortable with them, and I started just speaking the way I normally would, and all of a sudden the audience just looks at me with this, like, I had said something really inappropriate, and later I found out some phrase that we use all the time, I can't remember what it was, had a very sexual connotation to it. Like,
Oh yeah,
"Oh,
right.
you're
Yeah.
kidding. That's what they heard? No, that's not what I
Yeah.
meant."
Yeah.
All
That's
right, so
funny.
Glenn, I have a question for you. So
Yeah.
I tried something new at the last interview that I had, and I probably stole it from the guy who does Diary of a CEO. Great podcast, and I think he
Hmm.
still does this. So what he does
Well,
is he
everybody steals
asks the
something from
guest.
everybody. Yeah.
What's
Go
that?
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, he asks the
Well,
guest,
everyone steals all the good stuff from
"Oh,
other
I know.
people, right? So yeah,
So
like
I'm stealing from
whatever,
him, but
right?
I thought I'm going to try it." So he asked the guest, "Could you please, give us a question that we then could ask the next guest on the show?" So I'm going to ask you
Oh my
if
God.
you would answer the question from my former guest. Her name is Ashley Jablow. I talked to her on Tuesday, a couple of days ago. And I said, "So Ashley, what's your question that I should ask the next guest?" And I didn't even know who it would be. I didn't know it was going to be you.
Okay.
I had no preparation. She just said, "What's a great question?" And she said this: "What is your first question in life?" Meaning, what is it that your life is trying to answer? That was her question that I'm asking you. How would you answer that?
I have two answers. I
Okay.
guess the first answer, is I want to leave the world better than I found it. Right. I got 5 kids. I want to, blah blah blah. My kids better, thrive in life. Da da da. Leave something on legacy. Blah blah blah. Leave the world better than. Yeah. And
Perfect.
that's my public answer, right? And so, but as an entrepreneur, I'm just real. That's not my real answer, right?
What's your real answer?
So, like sorry, can you just restate the question quickly? I don't because
Well,
I
the way
got
she
off on
put
a
it
tangent.
was, "What's your
Yeah.
first question?" And
Oh,
when I
what's your
asked her
first
more about
question?
that, I said, "So what do you mean by that?"
Yeah.
She said, "What's the question that your life is trying to answer?"
Well, my life's trying to answer the question, like, because I mean, we're all based in ego, right? It's like, am I good enough, right? Like,
Mm.
and so that's really, and so I'm always striving to do everything that I can in the with the limited tools that I have, and determining where I shouldn't apply them too, right? Like, so quick example is I'm one of my passion things outside of work is I'm a what is called a charity DJ. I've been DJing for 47 years.
Hmm.
And so now I do it only for nonprofits and large events, nonprofits, and I give them a good deal. And I bring in all the really good gear, and I give them a great show and whatever. And believe me, when you don't charge very much money, you don't need to advertise, right?
Yeah.
In the charity world, right? So I
Yeah.
have more gigs than I could accept in a year. Um, but I realized, like, oh, well, DJs, they need to have their own songs. So I'm going to become a music producer, right? So I
Hmm.
started messing around with the Ableton, and then I realized, like, Glenn, like, you suck. Like, you're not a producer. You're not a Vici, right? Like, stop it, right? And like, I even had a few dorky songs, and then I went back. I thought, oh my god, you actually played that in public. Like, you should be ashamed of yourself, right? And so, same thing, sort of like I like playing around on the keyboards, right? Electronic keyboards and stuff, but I'll only do it when I'm by myself because I'm not bad, right? I just don't have the right gate to my thing. I'm not a performer or whatever, but I am an expert at connecting audio equipment together, playing songs, making it work, front of house, loud sound stage, stuff like that. I'm really good at that, right? And so that's what I focus on, right?
Hmm.
A band needs help setting up a large gig or whatever. Oftentimes they'll call me, "Hey, can you set up our sound for this blah 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 charity event?" Yeah, okay, I'd love to, and but I know what I'm good at, know what I'm not good at, know where the different dividing line is, and I do all those things are hoping that that makes me feel that I'm worthwhile and whatever. And but you know I've I don't know why, but I'm always oftentimes like too honest or whatever. Sometimes, but I mean I'm driven by this like incredible fear of being poor, right? And
Hmm.
like so it's
Hmm.
like it's guttural for me, right? And I've gone through some crazy business challenges I sold my first company for over $10 million and to a public company, and I got stock deal. And the stock was supposed to go through the roof, and I was supposed to become a 50 millionaire and all that stuff and whatever. And they went bankrupt, and I ended up with nothing. And they got my company, and I got nothing. I got $100,000 down payment. I got millions of dollars worth of stock that went to zero before I could sell it. And I had to start over at 40 something and rebuild. Right. So believe me, and people are like, well, how in the world? Why didn't you want to go and commit suicide or, how could you even get out of bed or whatever? I'm like, dude, I couldn't even go to bed. I was too busy trying to work because I was too scared of being poor.
Yeah.
And so, I just never wanted to not have enough for the people around me and myself and whatever. And so it pushes me forward. And, and I really like the small businesses and working with I don't thrive in 1,000-person companies and stuff where there's I like to touch marketing today and work with the finance lady tomorrow and, help the sales team do this, come up with campaigns, go and find new product lines in Europe. And I like to sort of touch on all the different stuff. But once the company gets a little bit too big, and you stop being involved, bigger, other people need to take over for me. Right. So anyways, that's my
Glenn, thanks for that. That's a very very heartfelt and honest answer. And I wasn't sure how that would go over, but you did a great job with that. And obviously with all the work that you've done and certainly this nonprofit work and the charity work, I think that's an answer that probably many people would say is just, am I good enough? Am I worthy enough? Am I doing my highest and best? And I suppose we never know for sure, but it sounds like you're accomplishing a lot for sure.
Yeah. Do I get to tell the next person what their
So
question
so
is,
what's your
or-
question?
Well, I guess my question would be, if there's a few that come to mind, but
All right,
I mean,
what's your
if it
big
would be-
juicy question that I could ask
I
my
guess
next guest?
if you could change one habit that most leaders have, what would it be and why?
Good question. I'm making a note here.
Yeah, if you could change one habit that most leaders have, what would it be and why?
Good. Thank you so much for that. So Glenn, how can people
no
follow
problem.
you and get to know you better or even hire you if they want to?
So just myname.com is my website, and the glennpoulos.com. But to connect with me and stuff, it's better just to find me on LinkedIn and just connect with me there. And I'm happy to engage and comment, talk to anybody, any questions, comments, whatever they want to make. Happy to speak to any of your guests. And if they would like to buy the book, they're welcome to. There's no pressure.
And the book is on Amazon and all those major places?
Everywhere else, yeah.
All right. Fantastic.
So,
well, Glenn, thank you so much for your time and your energy.
Thanks, team.
If you found value in today's conversation, please take a moment to rate and review our show on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. It helps more people discover Leadervation and this kind of conversation. And if you're looking to strengthen leadership, culture, or team performance in your organization, you can learn more about working with me and Mission Facilitators International at mfileadership.com.